guys, and welcome to Knit Grit. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I make these cute, adorable little Luna Squish shorts. So these will fit on any of my Luna Squish dolls that I have on my channel as well. Any of them that have Luna Squish in the title, these will fit their bodies. This is a for sale pattern on my Ravelry and also on Lovecrafts. The links for those will be down below. As always with these Luna Squish videos, I'm going to have a coupon code for the first week that I publish this video. So if you want to be in the know about when I update videos and stuff like that, hit the subscribe and make sure you hit the little bell. That will let you be notified when I do post videos, so you can get all of those free PDF codes to put into your Ravelry library or just to have a PDF for it on your computer. I'm pretty excited with how these turned out. I'm also going to be showing how to do, not in this video, but in probably a future video, how to make a cute little t-shirt. I use the same yarn on both. These are actually a Heartland brand as well. I love the little variegated heathering. It's pretty, it's cute, I'm in love with it. But in today's video, we're going to be also using Heartland, but just a different shade. I have this beautiful blue color, which I thought would be perfect for some shorts. I'm also going to show how to make the shorts for the baby Lunas, so the Lunas that are, let me find my little bunny right here. There we go. So these ones, which are significantly smaller than the Luna Squishes, as you can see comparatively, that's why I call them the babies. Next week, I'm going to be doing, hopefully, the t-shirt and also the shorts for the Lunas. I've been getting a lot of requests for those. So without further ado, for this project, you will need some worsted weight yarn. I'm using Heartland. This colorway is, oh, this is the Yellowstone one. I'll pop a little thing up here that'll say exactly what the colorway is. I'm not exactly sure. It's this beautiful, I think it's like a Acadia or something like that. It's beautiful, it's blue, it's got some light and dark tones. It looks kind of like denim, which is what I really like about it. I will be using a darning needle, some sewing scissors. You can use any kind of scissors that you like. I just think those are pretty and I like them. I'm also going to be using my Furls crochet hook. I'm in love with this brand. I have affiliate links for them down below, but I actually fell in love with them before I became an affiliate with them. So, you know, there's that. I love this. This is a size D hook, or a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. I am in love with this hook. It doesn't snag and it's super nice. It's ergonomic, so it helps with crocheting and not having it be hurting my hand too much. So there's that. Basically all you need is a worsted weight yarn and a size D3. Size hook does matter. You're also going to need to know how to do some basic chaining, single crocheting, and decreasing for your sides. These are all things that you can learn and get really down pat on my beginners playlist, which I will link down below in the doobly-doo. All right, essentially what we're doing with these shorts, I'm just kind of explaining the pattern. I'm going to pop up a little chart that'll explain how we do this. So essentially, I'm going to be creating two separate little nubby legs. I'm going to pop this out here and show what I mean. So this is the first leg. I'm going to create by chaining 20, and then I'm going to single crochet on the opposite side after I've single crocheted along the top. I'll kind of explain exactly what I mean. So I've made one, and you're going to want to create two of these. So essentially what I do is I'm going to chain 20. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm not explaining it the best that I could, but essentially I'm just chaining 20, single crocheting around, then I finish that off and I flip it to the other side and I single crochet along those chains. That way I don't have any chaining that are tight and weird. Both of my sides have these beautiful single crochets going down the sides. That's why I've got two tails here, just kind of chilling out. Those will be sewn in later, so I just kind of let them be loose for now. So we're going to create two of these essentially, and I'll show you how I make the first one and then you create the second one. I fasten off the first one, but I don't do it on the second one. I'm going to create a nice long tail, about 8 inches long. I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 20. So I'm going to put it on my hook, and I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, trying not to split my yarn, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, don't split, 10, 11, why is it coming off every time, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. I'm going to pull my tail a little bit. I'm going to move this yarn out of the way a little bit more. And now I'm going to basically connect my two ends. I think it looks a bit more seamless when I take my hook out of my work here, and I'm going to go back into my very first chain here, like so. I'm then going to make sure that my work is going straight and not crooked in any way, and then I'm going to pick up my active loop right here, making sure that they're all facing the right way, because if they're not facing the right way, it can be a real pain in the butt to try to get to work the right way. I'm going to slip it into the first one. I'm then going to take my tail, and I'm going to start working with my tail as if it is a part of here. That's how I hide this starting tail. So I kind of work with my tail in the front and make it between my stitch and the chain. I'm going to chain one real quick, and then I'm going to go inside the first chain like so, and I'm going to single crochet every single one of these chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. There we go. I'm having a hard time with the yarn and breaking it for some reason. 9, I think 10, halfway through. I'm keeping my tail with me the entire time just to make sure that I don't lose it. And again, make sure you download the PDF for this because it will make it easier in the future. I have charts on there and all kinds of stuff that you can make this a much easier process. I'm also going to post up the entire pattern on here, so if you want to screenshot that, that's fine. I just work really hard on my PDFs, so you know, I figure I might be able to put it out there for those who want to download it on my YouTube channel. And we're going to keep going until we get to the last stitch. Last chain. I lost track of what number I was on specifically. I also kind of pull my tail occasionally just to make sure that it's not just bubbling up in the center. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I think it makes it look neater in my opinion. About 4 more stitches left or so. I always kind of look down and make sure I'm going into the proper chain. Here. And then this should be the last one, I believe. Yes, that was the last one. So I'm going to pull my tail, kind of let it chill out. Actually, I'm going to take my tail, I'm going to cut it, because this tail doesn't need to be here anymore. Not cut the shorts. There you go. Put that in my tail ends. That tail is now completely hidden, and I only have one active yarn here. So I'm going to make a 6-inch, 8-inch tail for this work as well. I know, it seems confusing, but I promise you it'll make sense in a second. I'm going to find my darning needle, which is right over here. There we go. I'm going to take my work, and it's really floppy and it's weird looking right now. But what I like to do is I like to fasten off, and I like to create a stitch that makes it almost seamless. I've done this technique a couple times. It's also in my beginner videos. So if you get confused and need me to go a bit more slowly, those videos will be down below. This is my fastening off seamlessly technique. I'm going to take this end, so right here, and we're going to go through into our very first single crochet from the next round, kind of skipping over this little chain here. That's why I said the chain didn't super duper matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through from the front into the back of that first single crochet stitch, pull it through. Then I'm going to go through the back, and you'll notice there's kind of a bump here, so I kind of guide my darning needle into the center of my last work that I just did. So the very last single crochet versus the very first. And then I work it through the bump, and then I kind of work it through a bunch of the back stitches here. And that way, going through all those backs of the stitches, I'm going to pull that through. And depending on how tight I pull this, will be how firm and how big this stitch looks right here. So you can see that that essentially becomes seamless. I did the same thing on this side, except it's down here now. And so what I do next is I have all of these chains all along here, and that doesn't look super great, this little edge here. I'm not a big fan of that. So what I like to do is I'm going to leave this tail here for now. I'm going to sew that in much better later. And I'm going to pick up this first chain. Actually, I'm going to go to the chain right before my first chain here. It's wherever that bump is. I like to go the one right before where the bump is for my piece of work there. I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to do the exact same thing essentially. I'm going to pick up all of these chains, except now I have to kind of add my yarn. So what I do here is I pick up my yarn, I do a chain, I bring my yarn that I have to the front, and I do my chain. There we go. And then I start single crocheting with my tail in between every single one of these chains. So I've got 20 chains right here. So 2, and I'm going to do that the entire time around. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm keeping my tail as a part of it just so that I can pull it and kind of make sure that it is hidden very well. And every time I kind of interject, I lose what count I was on. It doesn't super duper matter. I want to have 20 stitches at the end of this essentially though. I should only have 20 single crochets across the entire thing. And if you don't want to go around the entire time with the tail, you don't have to. You can pull that to the front if you feel like it's being hidden enough. I just like to do it the entire way around because I find that it makes it look a bit more smooth if I have the tail underneath every single stitch and not just under some. But if you're not as OCD as I am, it will work either way. There we go. And now I'm getting close to the end. I'm going to pull my tail to the back just to kind of get rid of it. I don't want to think about that right there. You can go there. And I've got 2 more stitches left. So 1 and 2. And now that I have this done, I'm going to go inside this first stitch here too. So the 3. I have 20 stitches on my work, and when I have my first one, if this was the first one that I was doing, I would do the exact same fastening technique on the top as I did on the bottom. I did that over here. I just kind of fastened it off and I called it good. I just did that. So I'd fasten that off, do the fastening off technique right there, and that's the first one. But since we just did our second one, we now have 2 of them. And since we have 2 of them, now I don't have to fasten off. I'm going to leave this alone for right now. I'm not going to fasten off. I'm going to keep my work active. And what I do here is I'm going to now chain 6. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I know I've got a lot of tails going on. There's a lot of stuff going on, so it's a little bit hard to see. But that's why this is kind of an intermediate pattern. We're going to chain 6, and we're essentially going to now... This tail here is going to be kind of in the way, but I like to work with my tail as if it is a part of my work. I find that it hides them easier and keeps things from slipping out as well. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go underneath this stitch. I kind of go underneath the top and the bottom just to make sure that it's thorough. I'm now going to take my active yarn. I'm going to try to make this as clear as I can. My active yarn. This is the tail that's from the previous that I don't want to work with right now. I'm just going to keep it as a part of the yarn. This is my active right here, and I'm going to single crochet 1, and I'm going to keep my tail underneath the bottom of the next 10 stitches, and then that will be basically where the start of my row is. So it will be clear. I'm going to put a little pop-up here of how that kind of goes. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so I consider this the beginning of my rows, so I keep my tail aside. And this tail is what I'm going to use to be kind of my marker for the entire thing. I went across 10 of those stitches because that's going to be my side essentially. Because essentially we're going to be going across all of these stitches. We're going to go across all 20 from the leg. We're going to go across these 6 chains here, go across these 20 stitches all the way around, and then go through the back sides of those 6 stitches and then down the 10 again. And that will be the end of row 1. So we're going to have 20 stitches plus 20 stitches plus 12. So we're going to have 40 plus 12, so 52 stitches across the entire thing for row essentially 3 if you count this as 1 and 2. This is kind of row 3, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So now we're going to omit the tail and we're going to go across the next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I split my yarn. There we go. 6, 7, 8, 9. So here, now that is not technically a stitch, that is just kind of like this little middle area. I like to join that with my first chain because I find that it makes it a little less of a hole there. So I put those 2 together and then I go across the next 4 chains on the back. So there's 6 of them, so I'm going to go across the next 4 because that was 1, 2, 3. This is the 3rd one, there you go. This is the 4th one, and then this is this one. There you go. So I did the first one with that little piece here. I went across 1, 2, 3, 4, and now on the last stitch total, I'm going to go into this little work here. I'm going to do the exact same thing to kind of close it up and make sure that there's not a hole that's going to be showing. And at the end of this, you should have 42 stitches. So we're going to go here now and pull it nice and tight. That way you don't have any holes showing. This is essentially what I do, the same kind of general idea when making the Luna Squish itself. So if you did the Luna Squish, this should be fairly familiar, just different kind of counts for numbers, if that makes sense, instead of doing the 15 stitches of the Luna Squish leg, you're doing 18 and it's open instead of just being this closed leg. So that's pretty much what I'm doing there. And our goal is to get this to 52, and we're going to be doing the very same kind of decreasing that I did with the Luna Squish body, where we're every other round we're decreasing 1 on each hip area, 1 on each side. It's the same exact kind of idea. That is split, okay. And so I'm going to keep going until I get to the backs of the chains, exactly like I did with my Luna Squishes. So if you haven't seen the Luna Squish base body, you should definitely watch that before you come popping over here to the shorts. Make the base so you actually have something to put this onto, you know, put this onto their body. As silly as that sounds. I keep splitting my yarn and I'm not about that. Alright. We're getting close to the last stitches, and here is my last 20th stitch right here, and I'm going to take my yarn and go through the back of the 6th chain, I guess technically, and then I'm going to go through the back of this chain. There are these little ridges that are on the very backs here, so I'm going to go through there, 4, 5, and now there's this kind of wobbliness with here. That's a chain, but that is also a stitch. So what I like to do is I like to go through the chain, and then I like to go through the stitch. So 1, 2, we're gonna go across these 10 stitches now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so I'm going to take my tail, this nice little one that I just created, now that I'm back to the beginning of it. I'm going to pull my tail through that loop so that I can keep track of it better. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, essentially now that I've established the base of my legs, I'm going to single crochet around this entire thing one more time, and then I'll show you how I do my decreases along the sides each time up the hips. So I'll be right back as soon as this one round is done, and I'll show you how I do my decreasing. Be right back. Alright, so now I've gone around one more round. So essentially we've gone around our 52 stitches twice. And from here, we're going to do exactly what we did with our Luna Squishes, where every other round we decreased one stitch on each hip. So one here, so we would decrease 2 stitches every other round going all the way up. As you can see, this kind of makes it taper upwards while also still leaving enough room in here to actually get your Luna Squish inside of it. This is essentially what we did for the Luna Squish body. As you can see here, it tapers upward very slowly, which is exactly what we want. So the way that we do our decreases real quick, I want to show. This is the very start of our round, this one little string here. These are just 2 strings that are kind of hanging off that I will attach afterwards. I like to sew them through the back loops of things. So essentially we are going to single crochet across the next 24 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And you'll notice that with all my stitches, I actually only go through the front loop, but if you go through both, I usually only go through the first front one, but if you go through both of them, that'll work just as well. I just find that I like that the stitches look a little bit more bubbly. And I lost count, but I'm gonna just keep going until I get to the side. What I like to do is I'll always decrease whatever 2 stitches are where I can see it on this hip. That's kind of how I keep track of it instead of counting every single time. So this is essentially 21, 2, 3, and 24. Now, just to kind of make sure that I'm always doing it along the edge, I take my piece and I kind of make it go flat, like so. I make sure that these 2 stitches are the ones that are on the side here. I'm now going to take my work and kind of make it stretch outward. I'm going to take these 2 loops, both underneath my hook, like so. So there's not just one hook there, one loop there, there's 2. I do this exact same decrease method with my Luna Squish base body, and then I'm going to single crochet 1. And now I'm going to go again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pull my tail a little bit more, my working yarn. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. No, lion started catching hold of it. 23 and 24. And so now I go flat again, make sure that these 2 stitches are the ones that are on my corner here. I kind of fudge things a little bit if I need to. I go under both of these loops, do my invisible decrease like so, where I go through and take my yarn underneath both of those, and then I do that. And then since it's the corner, I like to take my tail, pull that out, and put it underneath the loop from what I just did. And so now I'm actually going to pull this out and kind of just explain what I do and explain the pattern. So I'm going to continue that repetition of decreasing on the hips every other round until I have reached down to 42 stitches across the entire thing. You'll have 13 rows essentially down across the entire body. These were our 2 ones that we just went around. That's a decrease round, single crochet round, decrease round, single crochet around, decrease round, single crochet around, decrease round, single crochet around, and you'll end on a decrease round. And I'll show you what that last decrease round looks like and how I do the exact same fastening technique by skipping a stitch there. So I'll show you how I do that, but essentially you're going to go from 52 stitches, keep doing that same repetition where you're going around every other round until you get down to 42 stitches. Or I guess on this one technically you'll be going around to 44 stitches, but I'll show you how to get from 44 down to 42 on the very last round and how I do that a little bit differently. So maybe come back as soon as you get to the second to last round, and I'm gonna go do the same, and I'll be right back as soon as I get that done. I will also show you how I hide these tails through the backs of the loops. It's not super hard, so it'll be super quick and easy. I like to just hide them and make so that they're not there at all. So I'll be right back as soon as I finish and get from 50, well, I now have 50 stitches instead of 52, from 50 stitches down to the 44. All right, be right back. All right, so I'm on the last row of my decreasing round. I just decreased on this hip, and now I'm on my very last stitch essentially. So what I'm going to do, I have way too many tails going on right now, but I'm going to pull out my marker because I know where I am, and I'm going to pull that kind of to the side and let it just not be in the way. There we go. That way all my tails are on the bottom here, and I just have this one piece that I'm working with. So I am here. I'm going to do the exact same thing before with my fastening off technique. I'm going to create a nice long tail. I'm going to take my darning needle. I'm going to pull my little loop all the way through my stitch. And the way that I kind of decrease my latch stitch while also making it look nice is I'm going to skip this middle stitch right here, the one that's right after what I just pulled off on, and I'm going to go into the very first stitch of what will be my next row. I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did before, where I go through the front to the back of the stitch, pull that through. So I'm creating a stitch while also skipping one essentially. Pull my tail kind of to the front, and I'm going to go through the middle and into the backs of all these stitches, like so. That creates a loop essentially, and the tighter that I pull my tail, the nicer that this will look. And what I like to do here now is I'm going to take my piece, I'm going to flip my little guy's entire thing inside out. I'm going to pull my tails so that they are out and about. Pull all my tails. There we go. So that they're where they should be. And now I'm going to start weaving all of my tails inside the back stitches. So the way that I do that is I'm going to go underneath the 2 loops for like 4 rows down, like so, and then I like to go back up 4 rows. So I go through the backs from whatever's closest. Apparently not. There we go. Sometimes I do it a third time, but I think I'm just going to do it these times here. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to do that with all the other tails as well. I do it for the ones down here, and this is why I waited until I had gone further along enough on all of my single crochets around. That way I would actually have some fabric to sew this into the backs of. Makes it a lot easier and neater, and this is just how I hide all of my tails. So for him, I'm going to take this and go through all these little back loops that I can find. Try to make sure, a tip that I can say is that if you can see your darning needle through the front, your tail will be obvious. So because I can't see my darning needle, it will not be obvious. I hope that makes sense. If you can't see the metal of your darning needle, then you won't be able to see the line of your yarn going through. So that's what I do. I'm going to finish doing that with all of these tails, and I'll be right back. And once I did all my tails, I flipped them back outside, and that is pretty much all there is to this pattern. I'm going to be posting, again, the link for the free code down below. You'll be able to get that on Ravelry. I've not figured out how to do coupon codes on Lovecrafts, but there will be a link for that. It's a very inexpensive pattern at that. I also have been putting things on Kindle, so let me know if anybody's actually interested in me posting links to my Kindle ebooks. I've been trying to do that, and really, if I've got all kinds of social media down below, please share with us if you actually do make these. I love seeing people at me on Instagram with all of that, so it's really fun to see what people make. I mostly see whales, but sometimes I see Luna squishes on there too, and that is really special. I love making the Luna squishes, and I'm going to be doing a lion next, so be excited for the lion. There's going to be a yellow one with little orange on him. He's super cute. If you like seeing stuff like this, we do have stuff all over our Instagram for what we do, little sneak peeks and stuff like that for what we're working on. So, you know, all kinds of links are down below. Instagram, we also have a Patreon and some PayPal links if you would like to help us there. I have been making things exclusively on my phone, so that's been making my videos kind of dip in quality just a little bit. So if you're interested in helping us out with the laptop fund, you know, there are those links down below. No pressure. I completely understand that this is crazy times that we're living in. But really, go ahead and hit all those doobly-doo links, all the social media. Hit like, subscribe. I'm growing a lot in subscribers, which is really exciting lately. But that's pretty much it. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye.